be our usual sit on the beach somewhere.
Very far away.
Next Friday.
I'm always running to do.
We have your granddaughter?
Yeah, we'll be back.
See him, and you know, I'm
I was trying to get you guys.
Don's like, how many people
Take a couple tickets to the race.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad it didn't happen. That would really make me sad.
No, I'm telling you, I had so much to give you.
I know.
I got some extra ones.
If I'd have known it ahead. I'd have been really It's totally unplanned.
when do you think that could next year?
I'm worried she's already seen it.
I might fall in love with it and just stay, buy the building and stay.
Yeah, no, I even thought it was in the trunk now. I like that.
Good evening and welcome to Smyrna Town Council special called meeting. I will call this meeting to order, and Amber, if you'll do roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Cole. Councilman Morrell.
Present.
Councilwoman Peebles.
Here.
Councilman Short.
Here.
Councilman Sullivan.
Present.
Vice Mayor Atkins.
He's here.
And Mayor Reed.
Here. We have no old business to consider in our special called meeting, but we have two items of new business. The first one is consideration of amendment to ordinance 22-18, adopting the certified property tax rate for the fiscal year 2022 and 2023. Hey, Rex.
Hello, Mayor. The final number's in.
Is it the real final number?
This is the real
one.
final number.
Okay.
The tax rate ordinance establishes the property tax rate for fiscal year 22 and 23. Our recommendation is to adopt the state certified tax rate at 52.57 cents on each $100 of assessed taxable property.
Okay, questions for Rex on this? Rex, our property tax is going down, but this is making it revenue neutral, correct?
Yes, ma'am. The city's average rate for the whole town was like 34 cents. I had a piece of my property, it went up 43%. So mine will be a little bit more, but it's not a significant increase.
Right.
And the state looks at it like it's not a tax increase.
Okay, so Rex has brought us the certified tax rate as being .5257.
Yes, ma'am.
So do I have a motion?
I move we approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Our second item of new business is approval of the license agreement for the installation of network facilities within the right-of-way. Brian?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is part of our announcement from this week where we announced Google Fiber will be coming into the town of Smyrna, and this will be the document that we'll work with our streets department and our utilities for them to install some fiber in the right-of-way.
Questions for Brian on this? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Move we approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Brian, anything under other?
No, ma'am, not on the special agenda.
If there is nothing else to come before this board on our special called meeting, we are adjourned. Okay, we are now ready to move into our Town of Smyrna Town Council workshop for June 23rd to set our meeting for our July council meeting. And before we move into items for discussion, I'm going to ask Mark Adkins to do our prayer, and Chief Bill, if you'll lead us in the pledge. If you'll all stand with me.
Father in heaven, we just come to you today with grateful hearts once again, Lord, for just giving us a place we can call community, a place we can raise our families and feel safe and secure. And Father, we just pray for all the people that look after this community, our fire and police protectors, all the employees of our town. Lord, we lift up a special prayer for Andy Russell's family today, Lord. He was a Parks Department employee who we lost recently. And Father, we just pray for him, his loss, and his family. Go with them, guide them, protect them, and give them some comfort and peace. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Would you face the flag, please?
I pledge
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Mark. Chief, I have to tell you, you had that look when I used to teach kindergarten that somebody had done something they weren't supposed to when I called on you.
I thought I was in trouble.
Okay, we will move into our items for discussion, and our first one is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with ESO Solutions Incorporated for the upgrade of the fire department software for records management.
Good evening, Mayor.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you. What we have before you is a request to approve software from ESO. ESO is our current provider. Their software that we're running currently is end of life, and they're killing it at the end of the year. This is to go to their new and upgraded system. What we've done to go through this process is to make sure it was the right decision for the town. We brought in their top two competitors, as well as ESO. They did 3 days of presentations for the fire department leadership team, and we finished up those presentations. The chief and his team felt that ESO was the best of the software that we saw, so we just wanted to stay with ESO. Good news for us is when the bids all came in, they also came in at lowest cost, and that we're going to recommend that we stay with them.
Great. Questions for Paul on this?
Can somebody tell me what does this software do exactly?
So this software is actually, does a number of different things. There is a whole slew of different models. I learned a ton going through this process. So there is a module for filling out the NFIRS report, which is national fire reports that have to go in on a periodic basis. There's a scheduling and attendance module. There's modules for equipment maintenance. There's modules for
So it's essentially
different,
management
yeah.
software.
Oh, yeah, it's a full suite. There's, I think we're getting, if I'm remembering correctly, 6 of the modules from them, and this will do most of the administrative work that the fire department will need for their daily operations.
Okay,
Great.
Thank you.
Carl, this doesn't help the updates on the Chrome all the time, does it?
No, this doesn't, unfortunately, doesn't do anything to help that. If you can figure out how to stop the hacker's eye, it would be all ears.
Anything else for Carl? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 2, approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Sherwood Shoes relative to the safety footwear for town employees. Hey, Henry.
Hello, good evening. So yeah, we're just asking to actually sign a contract with Sherwood Shoes, which is Red Wing Shoes. And that's just to get some shoes for our employees across the town.
Great. Questions for Henry on this? Great. We don't want to see any barefoot employees, so we will put that on the agenda. Item 3, approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Anderson Yards relative to extension of the existing contract for the code's mowing on abandoned or neglected properties. Steve?
Good evening.
Hi.
Yes, Anderson has done our mowing in the last at least 12 months, and they've done a good job. We'd like to continue them into the future for the next fiscal year.
Just curiosity, have we had to do a bunch this year of ones that haven't?
Yeah, we're about on par. Yep.
Okay. Questions for Steve?
Are they staying at their same rate?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Are they staying at their same rate for the extension?
Yes, same rate.
Okay.
Okay, then we will put that on the agenda. Move on to item 4, approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Mosca Design and Blashery Illumination to provide holiday decorations for the town of Smyrna.
Thanks, Mayor Council. We went out to bid and received 4 bids, different different organizations. And basically, we had established the bid to where we could pick and choose from different vendors depending on the quality of lighting, type of lighting, if it met specifications, and of course, price as well. When it came to the 30-foot tall Christmas tree, the only one that did meet the specifications was Mosca, and they bid $39,285.50. We're actually, that was with C7 lighting. We're actually changed that to a 5mm LED lighting. It's 18,250 lights on it, and by changing out from C7 to 5mm, that did reduce the price to $36,465. So we're purchasing, if you have a copy of the bid tab out in front of you, we're going to be, from Moscow, we're going to be purchasing the tree topper, the natural branch garland, and then the 2,000 linear feet of bulk spool, and all the way down through the banners with them. And then with Blashery, we're going to be purchasing the walk-through ornament, and then the snowflakes. Also, because the total price came in significantly less than the $100,000 that we do have in that item, we are probably going to be looking at adding about 20 more snowflakes, 3-foot snowflakes, and 10-foot and 2-foot, and 10 more 2-foot high snowflakes. So a lot of snowflakes in Smyrna.
Well, and so one of the things, Brian, and I think lots of us have talked about is, I mean, we have had great holiday spirit in the town of Smyrna, but they were looking a little bit
They're
worn.
aged. They're aged.
What's a good word? Worn. And so we wanted to do a little updating, and I think Brian and staff came up with a great idea, is really focusing on downtown, trying to drive people downtown and to give them some opportunity for some photo ops and things like that. And I think this will absolutely do this. I think Brian and his leadership, Middle Tennessee, kind of got the idea from Franklin when he saw some stuff they were doing downtown. So I think this will be a great addition to our downtown area. So, questions for Brian or for Tom?
Now's your chance.
I meant to ask, are they all white lights?
We can decide that. If we want all white lights on them, we can certainly do that.
I was going to ask you, would you be playing any music, and if so, what artist? But
No dancing lights, just
You know, Mayor, a couple of things. You know, we talked about not only kind of a revamping of our to help drive traffic downtown, give people a place where they could go to a Christmas, decoration area and make photos for Christmas cards, different things like that. There's also some other things we looked at, while we have, down Sam Ridley Parkway, we have some things we put on the poles, and honestly, I don't know that people even see them because they get lost in all the other lighting out there, and they are very worn. They've lived their life, even to the extent that I applaud our building and grounds. They actually restrung the lights on some of these older ornaments a couple of years ago to try to give them more life. But it also takes us 30 days to put all of these ornaments up around town, and it's very labor intense, and then about 18 days to take them back down and get them back in storage. The concept will be, we will be illuminating in the downtown area around the depot with a 30-foot tree that's got, I think it's 18,000 lights on it. I mean, it's going to be spectacular. It's really going to look nice. We're going to focus on the Front Street and the Lowry Street there in that business district, and then we were going to go with banners, Christmas banners from Nissan Bridge to Sam Ridley Bridge. We're not really going to focus too much back out into the communities and down some of these side streets where really it's kind of lost anymore. It's worn its day out. So we're hoping this will be something that we'll really be able to be proud of. Now, the one thing we will be doing, and Tom mentioned that some string lights, as you know, we light around the event center, around the town center. We're going to look at doing all of our fire stations lit up with ornamental lights around the roof lines and here and those kind of things, but probably not going to see the waving Santa on the fence at the tennis courts anymore. Some of those kind of things will kind of go away because, again, they're just not enough really to get great attention from people, and don't give them a place to centralize, come in and enjoy the Christmas lighting experience. So I think this is a good thing for us. And again, one of the things we looked at from an economic standpoint was people coming into that downtown area, they'll go to some of our local businesses and maybe have a cup of coffee or an ice cream cone or eat dinner and those kind of things, and make it a family venue type event. I did see that while I was in Leadership Middle Tennessee, when we were in Williamson County in the downtown corridor, a lot of people stopping by to make pictures in front of the tree and those kind of things. And that's kind of our vision, is to make this a twofold thing, update what we have and drive some economics. So.
And just to let you all know, we've also talked about making sure we let those businesses downtown know what we're doing in case they want to add with their business to it. And we've already had some that have said that they absolutely want to see what the vision is because they'd like to decorate their businesses.
We had a meeting this week with Alta Depot, told them what we were doing. They said, what can we do to match up? And that's kind of what we're hoping will happen, is other businesses will get that same Christmas spirit and put some decorations out and help us light up that downtown area. So.
Okay, any questions for Tom or Brian? Okay, then we'll move on to approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an equipment purchase relative to the golf course. Hey, Hal.
Good morning. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request to purchase of equipment off of a lease that we entered into with PNC and Smith Turf in August of 2018. The lease expires in September. The landscape on leasing, it's served the golf course very, very well for many, many years, been able to get new equipment, but the landscape on leasing has dramatically changed in the last year. And as I noted in my summary, we're expecting the lease percentage to be 7% in September. What we've typically done is release this equipment. Because this is coming to an end, PNC and Smith Turf has offered us an outstanding price on all of these pieces of equipment that I've listed for a straight-out purchase, and it's specifically mentioned in our contract that at the end of a 4-year lease we can purchase this equipment. I provided some quotes on the 3 main pieces of equipment, and I can tell you from my research what some of these pieces of equipment are going for by themselves is amazing, because, and part of it's supply chain on being able to get new equipment. So I'd like to ask Mayor and Council to approve that we purchase this equipment from the lease with Smith Turf and PNC.
Questions for Hal on this? Okay. Done.
Thank you.
Thanks. Item 7, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a renewal. Nope. Item 6, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a 5-year renewal agreement for the aircraft loan with the National Naval Aviation Museum. Anybody?
Mayor and Council, this is just the renewal of the Jeff Coos Memorial plane. So just wanted to bring that forward for us to get a
Hard to
signature.
believe it's time for another 5-year renewal.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Sometimes it seems significantly longer, and sometimes it seems like yesterday, so. Questions on this? Anybody? Nope. We will put it on the agenda. Item 7, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a renewal agreement with Rockwell Automation for technical support at the water plant. Oh, it's the birthday boy.
Yep, you're right.
Did you have a good birthday yesterday? 42?
Yes, ma'am.
Plus
Did you pick
10.
that? Did you pick that tie up at
You got it
the
for his birthday,
birthday?
I'm sure. People know what kind of gifts to give.
It's a great day to be a Tennessee ball, right? Especially
I was
at the
thinking it was
Goodwill
a gag
store.
gift, was what I was thinking.
Especially at the Goodwill store.
That's right, that's right.
This was
exactly.
free.
Free?
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. I guess
Explained
they
a
have
lot.
to give their stuff away, but
They do.
go ahead, sorry. Sorry, you just provoked me, Mike. You provoked me.
She does not want to
You
go there.
provoked me, Mike. There you go.
I like that one, Mayor.
I tried to coach him this morning at 8:05 in his office, and I have a witness that.
He said this was coming already, so.
Yeah, you said you was gonna button that coat.
I apologize. Let me get
I said I didn't think you could.
Hold on a second.
There you go, you want to show, oh, and look, there's room to spare. There you go, there you go.
It's a very large coat.
Very large time.
Yes, it is. Okay, so the first one here is the annual technical support and maintenance for control panel stuff, VFDs, equipment at booster stations and tank sites. So this year, we wanted to lock in the 3-year price because prices, as you have seen, are going crazy. So we'd like to do a 3-year price this year, and this is a sole source.
Questions for Mike on this? I think that's probably a wise move. Item 8, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract amendment extension with Thomas and Hutton for CEI services for Olive Branch.
So as you're aware, we're still rolling on with Olive Branch. Projections at this point are looking like we'll be done towards the end of September. I did send an update to Brian and Rex this afternoon, and we're getting real close to, or they're getting real close to finishing phase 1 where we can make it live. So keep your fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes, but this is for construction inspection for through the end of the project.
Questions on this? Okay, we'll move on to item 9, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract extension with Thomas and Hutton for CEI services for the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes, ma'am. So the original end date of the contract was August 30th. You will have a change order coming to the next workshop. We couldn't get it all together in time for this one. That will extend that time to January 3rd. So this gives Thomas and Hutton the CEI services through January.
And do we think we'll be done then?
I think so. I think they're doing pretty well. It may be before January 3rd, but when you're in an SRF project, you have to check all the boxes and make sure you're hitting all the marks. So we'll see. Judy is doing a phenomenal job at the plant.
Okay. Questions on this? Put that on the agenda. Item 10 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Clary Construction for gas line bore in Olive Branch area.
So Cleary is going to be doing a water line bore of 24 for the Greystone development. So within that, we're going to have to get the high pressure line on the other side of 24 as well. Cleary gave us a great quote. We also got another quote from Bush Construction, which was significantly higher. So while Cleary is there doing this bore for the Greystone development, we need to get the high pressure gas line on the other side because we need to complete that loop.
Okay. Questions for Mike on this? Okay. We will move on to item 11, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute contracts with Cleary Construction for the Sam Ridley and Weekly Lane water improvements.
Yes, ma'am. This is one of the water model projects. It's been a long time coming. We've finally gotten to the point with SRF where everything's approved. Went out for bid. Cleary we bid it as 2 separate contracts, but under one SRF umbrella. Cleary did get both of those, so we will probably go out to bid sometime in August. The only problem is, right now, 12-inch pipe, which is going on weekly, is about 40 weeks, and 24-inch pipe, which is the Sam Ridley portion, is 20 weeks.
Sounds like mast arms, doesn't it, Steve?
Yeah. Worse.
Yep.
Worse, yeah.
Questions for Mike on this? Okay, we'll move on to item 12, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute is it FOG or is it FOG?
Either one.
Either one. FOG Food Service and Waste Hauler Enforcement Response Guide.
So the next 3 items on your agenda, we have discussed this. You guys have already approved the contracts with Byron Ross, who was recommended to us by MTAS to get control of the grease in the distribution system coming to the lift stations and the plants. So this first one is it's for the food services and waste hauler. It's an enforcement response guide. So normally I wouldn't bring this part to the council, but it does have things in here that we can issue violations up to and including fines for excessive, that they don't follow our guidance and don't get things under control. So that's why I brought this to you guys for approval, because it does have that aspect to this.
Questions for Mike on this? Okay, item 13 goes along with this, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute the fats, oils, and grease management policy.
And this is actually the policy that we will be following, and the next item does reference the policy in the ordinance. So again, this does have some language in there where we can issue violations. There's an enforcement part of this to make sure everybody's in compliance.
Questions for Mike?
So, just so that I can get some clarification. So the guy that was on number 11, plus this, all are under the umbrella of the ordinance section that you're gonna talk about next?
The ordinance change had to be made to reference this management policy,
Okay.
to say you have to follow this management policy. Item 11 links to the management policy. It's basically telling the food service folks and the waste haulers, here's what we've got to do to get this in
Okay,
compliance.
just making sure for my clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so item 14 is consideration of a revision to the sewer use ordinance section 18-216 to include language requiring food service establishments to comply with the town's fats, oil, and grease management policy.
Yes, ma'am. So that, ordinance change requires 2 readings, right? Correct. So yes, you'll see it again next time. So, yes.
Okay. Okay, item 15 is consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and R3 zoning of property located on tax map 54, parcel 61.00, requested by Sean Collins on behalf of Jamie L. Turner, containing 1.1 acres. The property is located at 8269 Rocky Fork, Amberville Road, and this is a second reading. Kevin?
Yeah, this is a request for annexation in R3 zoning. It is on Rocky Fork Amberville Road. There is an existing house on this property. It is addressed at 8269 Rocky Fork Amberville Road. Land use plan would support a medium-density, single-family residential development in this area. Surrounding zoning is the PRD, the Blakeney and Stewart's Glen PRDs in town, and RM in Rutherford County. The town would be providing all services except for water here, which would be provided by CUD. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request unanimously.
Mark or Tim, anything you want to add?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to item 16, which is consideration of resolution to a plan of services for property located on tax map 54, parcel 61.00. Anything to add?
There's nothing to add. This is just a plan of services for that parcel.
Okay. Council, any questions for Kevin on this? Move on to item 17, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 28G, Group A, parcel 1.01, to go from R4 to C2. It's requested by John Lee. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 4/10 of an acre and is located south of Sam Ridley Parkway West, and this is a second reading.
Now, this is a piece of property. It's completely surrounded by C2 zoning. However, it is still zoned R4. The land use plan would support this rezoning as a part of the Sam Ridley corridor area. This parcel does have no road frontage, but the adjoining parcel to the north has the same ownership, and the plan is to combine that parcel, those 2 parcels together, and develop it as one tract of land. Staff did recommend that this combination occur prior to the effective date of any zoning change, as the requested tract would not meet the minimum lot size for C2 on its own. The plat has been submitted, and we have reviewing that right now as part of our Planning Commission submittal package. It will not have to actually go to the Planning Commission. It's just a simple combination of 2 lots, so we'll review that as staff. And so they have taken steps to take care of that.
Questions for Kevin on this? Yeah. Okay, then we'll move on to item 18, which is consideration of a resolution appropriating funds for nonprofit organizations for the fiscal year 2022-2023. Rex?
Yes, ma'am. A resolution stating the agency, purpose, and amount must be approved before any funds can be distributed to nonprofit agencies according to guidelines established by the Comptroller of the Treasury in the state of Tennessee. This is a housekeeping measure that we do each year before we pay our nonprofits that were in the 2023 budget.
Questions for Rex on this? Item 20, item 19, consideration of surplus items to be sold online at online auction through GovDeals.
In your packet is attached a list of surplus items that need to be sold at auction. The list includes seized vehicles, computer equipment removed from service, and various items no longer needed. The town seeks permission to conduct an online auction to sell these surplus items. The auction will be advertised in the Murfreesboro Post, on our website, and on Channel 3. All the surplus items will be sold through GovDeals, an online auction company.
Looks like you can get Christmas trees. Anything other?
It's furniture.
Furniture, stereo amp, tool set.
There's a small safe in there, somebody keep all their money in there.
There you go. There you go. Any questions for Rex on these? Okay, we will put those items, we'll put it on the agenda. Item 20, consideration and approval of revisions of the Town of Smyrna's PTO donation and nepotism policies included in the employee handbook. Hey, Jeff.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. You've got before you a couple of revisions to two policies in the employee handbook. Since you guys do adopt that for us, we're bringing this to you for your review and approval. The first one is the PTO donation policy. I've highlighted the sections that are changing. Basically, we're changing the eligibility for PTO donation. Previously, an employee had to exhaust all of their PTO up to 480 hours before they could benefit from receiving PTO. The new revision will require them to exhaust just a minimum of 160 hours, so basically a little bit over a month of time before they could be eligible to receive PTO from other employees. So that's the change to the PTO donation policy. The nepotism policy, when we reviewed the policy, the last time we adopted it, one of the things we didn't consider was outside business relationships. We did talk about immediate family. Obviously, a supervisor shouldn't supervise an immediate family member, but also they probably shouldn't supervise somebody they work with outside of their work here. We have employees that have secondary employment, and you can imagine a supervisor that maybe works for their supervisor outside of work, how that could create some issues. So this gives the town the ability to kind of be notified of those situations so that we can kind of address those in an appropriate measure.
And in that instance, they're going to notify their supervisor and then HR in writing.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. Questions for Jeff? Great. We will put that on the agenda. Item 21 is food truck.
Yes, Mayor and
discussion.
Council, I sent a letter or an email out to all of you. We had someone question our food truck policy and our cost versus some of our other communities. And I've asked Kevin Rigsby to do some research on it, and I shared that information with you. So I just wanted to give us an opportunity as a council to have discussions about this. If we do want to make any changes, now would be the time for us to discuss those. So.
Yeah, I did look at it. Of course, we looked at it almost 2 years ago now when this was first initially adopted. We kind of looked at what other communities do and everything, so that's why our ordinance change was really modeled quite closely after Brentwood's. It covered everything the best, we thought, and really was the best option for doing it. And at that time, we also looked at what everyone was charging. And we kind of settled on, currently we charge $200 a year for a truck, and it's $300 if you do a food truck rally. And at the time, that was pretty close to, or kind of in between what everyone else was charging, because at the time Lebanon was actually charging up to $300 really if you did a year in Lebanon. Some of the others were $50 or $100. And so we looked at the middle ground with it. We also at the time were charging $250 to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals, which has now since changed to $300 because we did go up on our fee last budget year. And that was only giving them 14 days, or no more than 28 days in the calendar year. And so we thought $200 is cheaper than what we were charging them for 14 days for a whole year.
And just has to come to y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they just.
it
doesn't have to go to
It doesn't go to
BZA.
BZA any longer, but the cost is actually less than what we're charging them, but under our old format. And so, we felt like we were kind of being fair, we're kind of shooting in the middle. Since that time, Lebanon has actually changed their fees. They have reduced it to $100, from it's $200 a year, where it was, they had kind of steps, kind of a day, 3 days, 10 days, or a year. Now it's just $100 a year. There is an additional $50 fee if the fire department does an inspection, which that only happens if they're actually cooking inside the truck. So if you're selling ice cream or something like that, the fire department wouldn't be inspecting it in that case. So, so we are now, because others have lowered their fees, we are now more expensive than what I have found around us. Some of that being, I would say, a caveat to that with Nashville, because it's actually $25 a day, so that's within their park, to operate in metro parks. And so that's only for like 3 hours a day, and it's only like certain days of the week and whatever, so, but that could certainly add up to more than 200 pretty quickly for someone, but, so it's just there for discussion. Obviously, it was just adopted again in the fee schedule for this budget year, but obviously the council can choose to change the fee schedule at any time you want to, for 2 readings, so. That's what we have found.
So I was interested in looking at that because I had an event that I was working with, and several of the food trucks had mentioned that our prices were, that the town of Smyrna's food truck permits were higher. So I went and looked at what other places, Murfreesboro, Brentwood, Franklin, Lebanon, and ours was the highest. So I actually asked Brian if it's something that we could look at again, because I'd had several reputable businesses who also had food trucks say, well, because it's so much more, I just go to Murfreesboro or I go to the adjacent municipality because it doesn't cost me as much. And then when we were looking at the fact that a food truck rally was another $300 for whoever's doing the event, it just was something I thought we should just bring back up to look at, to see if it might be something we want to adjust, just so that we can line up with what our surrounding cities are doing.
And I mean, I think it's great to bring it back up to address. For me personally, I don't think $200 is too much to ask for a whole year. As a small business owner, I think if I was a small business owner of foods, I would not think that $200 would be too much for a mobile food vendor to have to pay, because I know they consider them competition. The other thing that I want to make sure that we do is, I think there are very reputable food trucks out there, but I think there's also some that aren't as reputable. And for me, I think $200 is fair, but that's just me, and I will defer to the rest of the council.
Sounds like there's no converse opinion. Obviously, I think we need to be consistent with those around us, I think that's realistic and reasonable. When we set these, when it was coming to BZA originally, we were trying to figure out how do you control the ability for them to be able to move or not move, et cetera. So, I mean, it's kind of been a changing target for the last several years. I think since the pandemic, food trucks have really picked up steam. No pun intended. So, I mean, I think being in line with others around us is best for our citizens. It gives us the opportunity to have those services available too. And, a lot of folks enjoy food trucks. They enjoy food truck rallies. They enjoy events that have the food trucks. So I think it's reasonable to, I guess, go to 200, reduce to 200, whatever.
No, we're at
saying. That's what
200.
We're at 200 right
We're
now.
at
So we're reducing or no?
No, they're wanting to reduce to lower than that.
Yeah.
But how much higher? You said we're higher, but
The
No,
people,
50.
the people around us, some of them are $50, some of them are $100. And then but Nashville is $25 a day, so it, you
But
know.
that's for a full year, $200 for a full year, right?
Yeah, and everyone else is a full year. Nashville's the only one that has that per day.
A day.
Okay. I mean, that, to me, so we're talking about $50. We're not talking about thousands, you know? So, I mean, it's not that big of a difference.
For a lot of them, they're probably gonna make $200 to pay
Yeah.
for their year fee
Yeah.
in one day. But if we wanna put it on the agenda, we can. I think if we're gonna put it on the agenda, I would like to see us put a dollar amount with it to.
The only thing I would say is, send it out to the council for comments, and actually nobody responded, so I wasn't sure where this needed to go. That's the reason we put it on as a discussion item. If we're gonna lower, I don't have a problem with meeting maybe in the middle, what some of the other communities are doing. But one thing that he said, and I hope you picked up on it, if they're cooking inside the trucks, we also have to have the fire department do the inspection. So I think what I'd like to offer up is if we make a decision to change and lower our price on a yearly basis, that there ought to be one price for those trucks like ice cream trucks and stuff like that, and maybe that's the $100. If they're cooking inside the trucks, I think we can go to a $100 fee, but there's a $25 or a $50 inspection, because it does take time for the fire department to go out and do the inspections and stuff. And that is a one-time, once-a-year charge to make sure that they're staying safe and they're operating, the propane tanks and the generators and stuff on a very safe basis. So that would be the only thing I would ask the council to consider if we do lower it, that I think there ought to be a separation between standard truck where there's no food prep, and then if we are having to do inspections, I'd like to see us continue to cover the cost of those inspections.
So those are the two major differences.
Yes.
Cooking and
Yeah.
non-cooking, basically, right?
Yep.
But what'd you say, the cooking one, who does a $100 charge for that?
No, Lebanon does a $50 charge. It's a $100 annual fee for the truck, and then additional $50 if the fire department has to inspect.
And Murfreesboro was 100 across, or did they have a fee for going out checking too?
I did not find anything about a fee for checking. It's just a $50 fee there, and Brentwood is $50, and Laverne is $100.
I think that would be a good
Compromise.
compromise.
Yep. So would the council be comfortable if we came back with, say, a $100 fee to have a food truck, and if it's food prep and cooking inside the trucks, there's a fire inspection fee of $50 additional, so that'd be $150 a year or $100 a year. I think we should look at, for some of these events and stuff, if they're gonna have a truck rally, I think today we charge $300, maybe we could lower that to $200.
Is that for that rally specific?
That's for the rally specific, yes, and that's only if there's more than 3 trucks. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin. I
Yes,
think it's
actually,
3 or more.
3 or more.
3 or more.
3 or more.
There's a rally fee, because again, we have to make some inspections and
That
stuff.
includes all the inspections.
Yes, sir.
For local restaurants, are they required to maintain a business license on an annual basis? And if so, what amount is that?
They are required to have a business
They are,
license, yes.
yeah.
I don't know.
All restaurants have a business license.
Is
I'm
it a
not sure.
one-time deal? or
It's renewable.
It's an
yearly.
annual. It's an
It's
annual.
annual.
Yeah, I think when we were talking about this before on BZA, I thought, maybe it was Jeff, that we found out that the food truck itself pays taxes in the city where they're registered. So if it's a truck out of Nashville or a truck out of Murfreesboro, sales tax goes to those cities. So we're talking about if they're based out of Smyrna, like say Cousin's Maine Lobster, then we would get the sales tax from that, no matter where they are.
Wherever they
But my concern is the trucks that are coming from Nashville, Murfreesboro, from other cities, they're coming here and they're only paying $100. It's not about taxing them, it's about being fair and consistent for those local restaurants that we're also trying to support, right?
And I guess that's
So,
where that's what I was talking about.
I want to be careful not to cut, the red bicycles or the carpe cafes or even the restaurants out on Sam Ridley, because you could bring a food truck in and literally take business from those businesses for $100 a year.
Are the food trucks required to have a business license?
I don't think they have a
I
business
think there was
license.
something we found where there seemed like there was something where the rules are different for them somehow or another. We couldn't require it or something like that. I can't recall exactly.
But
It's been a couple of years.
It's usually home base, and it's supposed to depend on, a lot of times of where they made the sale, but I don't know that that's kept up with very well.
Typically, they're reporting their.
Almost no way
their
to track
funds
it.
Right.
Back in the community they're from, so.
So they're not having to pay a business license. If they're not local, we're not getting any of the sales tax from them. So what we'd be getting
And if
is.
they are getting a business license, it's only if it's $15, but
Yeah, I know the base business license is $15, and then there's.
Right.
A what? A what?
Business license.
The
A
business,
Yeah,
business
the business
license is $15.
Yeah, and I think on the taxation, I think it's based on a percentage of taxable sales in that. So if they're here for a night and they do $250 worth of business, I think that's below that minimum for reporting to the local community. I think they just report through their monthly business. And I may be wrong with that, but I remember talking about
But their
this.
monthly business where their business is located,
Well,
wherever
yes, and that,
they.
by the end of the month, they may be doing,
Yeah.
$5,000 worth of business.
Yeah, I think the point's still the same essentially, is the chances or the likelihood of getting sales tax from those vehicles are probably slim. Because either they're not gonna meet the threshold or they may not be based here. Either way, it's probably not gonna happen. So I guess the other question, and maybe I'm the only one that sees this, is do we really want food trucks to come into the community if they're not paying sales tax and not having a business license? Do we want them? Do we want to lower our price to be competitive because we want them here or not? And it's not I'm not saying we don't like food trucks. We just want to make sure that the business opportunities are fair for the local restaurant and the food truck. And vice versa, right? That we're not allowing a food truck to basically undercut a business that's a staple in the community.
But if we did not allow, does that mean we couldn't have them on the 4th of July?
I'm not
things
saying
like that?
not allow, I'm just saying we don't want to lower the price to make it easier for them, that's what I'm stating. Leave it alone, because the way it is, according to Raquel, we're kind of discouraging them from coming to Smyrna. They're going to other communities because we're a little higher. Is that really a bad place to be? They can come if they want and if there's a benefit, but I'm not sure that we really want to be free and get all the food trucks we can, because what are we doing to the rest of our businesses, right?
And I don't know that, and I felt like it deserved conversation,
Yeah.
one way or the other.
Completely agree.
The ones that I had been speaking to actually are companies that are here, but they go to the other cities for their food trucks because it costs them less to go to Murfreesboro to have their food truck rather than to stay here where they have a business. They would take the food truck there. So
Yeah,
I just thought it deserved at least a discussion or another look at, just to see if it's something that we thought we want to change.
I would think even if it's $100 difference, it probably costs them $100 in fuel to drive to Murfreesboro and back in a food truck. Or Lebanon. I mean, gas is pretty high right now. I drive a diesel
right
truck
now,
and it
yeah.
costs me $150 to fill it up today. So, and I get, 4 days of drive out of it, so I'm not sure it's a big difference. If they're
But it's
local.
not always $4 a gallon or $5 a gallon
It's
either,
probably
so.
gonna be 10 by the time it gets done.
So do you all want to put this on the agenda or not put this on the agenda?
One of the things I've always looked at, we always try to compare ourselves to other communities, and I don't think that's always necessary. Sometimes we can set the bar and let other communities compare to us. I'm not saying this is that situation, I'm just saying we have that conversation all the time about other communities and what are they doing. And that's not always a reason for me, anyway, to say, yes, we should, or no, we shouldn't. So I don't know that I see $50 as a big hindrance, personally. I just don't. I appreciate the conversation, obviously. I think we need to have the conversation, so I don't mind having the conversation. But if you're looking at 150 versus 200, and you want to have a food truck business in Smyrna, I don't see why that's a hindrance, personally. Tim was hitting on something a minute ago, talking about restaurants and what they have to pay to keep their brick and mortar stores open. And I get that too. If you make it, I think we have to think about those proprietors and those businesses as well, because they're out there trying to get the same customer many times as a food truck is. And a food truck can do it so unaffordably, I'm not sure we're treating our brick and mortar stores as fairly, so.
That are also employing more people.
Well, but I think it's fair that the conversation be
absolutely
had,
agree.
you know, and
Absolutely.
that we look at that. As I sit here and listen to the dialogue, it's just kind of what my thoughts were, that's all.
Well, I think when citizens bring stuff to our attention, that's our responsibility, is to
Sure.
bring it to the council and
Absolutely.
have discussion.
Well, I don't want to, Mike, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I was thinking that we've had some things at some of the parks and had trouble getting trucks to come. Is that, or some have actually dropped out? And
We
that
do,
happens?
depends on the event, like at Independence Day, like we're.
Yeah,
we're already
I'm sure
full.
that one's fine.
Yes, sir, but I do think, and Jeff may want to help, on city property, it's kind of different for our events, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
there's an exception for city.
So our events, they
So
don't, you know.
it won't have anything, this won't have anything to do with them.
Right, so we charge, like for Halloween in the park and for Independence Day, we'll charge a fee, kind of a sitting fee, so to speak, but it does not follow that fee.
Okay.
Because it's on city property.
So if we have a city event, or is it a city event only or on a city
I believe it's city
property?
parks.
City park. So if we have an event at a city park, they would only pay what the Parks Department's charging. In other words, they wouldn't pay that and then pay $200 in addition to that.
Yes, sir, and I will say, and that's typical, but there's some that do our events and do their own thing. So like a Mission Taco or some of those they do. So
That
they
have already paid the $100 because they're doing other places
Yes.
throughout the year.
Yeah,
Or,
farmer's
200,
market,
yeah.
they're doing, the 200. So
Yeah.
several of them already have it, and they'll ask if they need it for this or just let us know. And there's some that don't, because they may only come to a couple a year or they work other places.
Mike, I think for clarification, so if a city park, town park is being used, but it's not a
a private
town-sponsored function, if it's a private entity using the park for a function, would they fall under that same ability to just charge the set fee versus having to have the, I think that's, I think there's going to be some.
I think we have done that. I'm thinking about the vendors at some of our tournaments, like Kono Ice. I think we've usually just charged them a parks fee or a fee and not done the
Not the city
$200
fee.
food truck.
Right, 'cause it's in
And
a
that-
park.
And that's not really a city event. It's a league event, but it's not
Right.
really a city event. So I think we have
Yeah, and that's-
extended
I
that to
think that might be able
non-city
to help
events.
Some of this concern.
Yeah, I do, and I think, it's been a couple of years since we looked into that, because we were asked at the Christmas parade, we've been asked at different times, and we had to refer back to that, the regulations and ordinance to decide if we charge and all that type of stuff.
Jeff, can you give us clarification on that?
At this moment or later?
Right now.
Later. Can you just pop us an email and let us know?
Sure. I was looking for it right now, but
Okay.
zoning ordinance is quite large.
Okay.
I think Kevin and I discussed that recently, so he might be digging.
So I mean, if we're gonna get some feedback back from Jeff, I mean, if we need to make a decision, I'm okay with it still being on the agenda, but we may or may not need to make a change. So we
Well-
can vote on it, make a decision if we want.
Would
But
it be better served for the agenda or have it ready for the next workshop? So.
Yeah, I was going to say, I
Have
think
more
what I'd like to do at
conversation.
this point is let us do some more research based on some of the discussion and come back at the next workshop, and then we can decide if we want to make a change to the,
okay.
Perfect.
I mean, because if it's, as long as it's in the park, and whether it's private or town-sponsored, we can work within the parameters of the park, that may meet the need and allow us to go forward. And, that keeps the other food trucks that are out on private property and in right-of-ways and those kind of things, goes back to what you were talking about with the brick and mortars.
Okay.
Good idea.
Okay. Anything else under other?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we will go to status reports. Hal?
Good.
Chief? Jim? Steve? Rex?
Our auditor's been in, doing some field work, and we're progressing with that.
So working with the auditor, okay? Charles? Come forward.
Mayor and council, wish it could come with better news tonight, but our Lee Victory Recreational Park entrance, our contractor has gone in default to contract as of June 18th. Jeff has taken that over in the legal department now. Our subcontractors that are local here, they stuck with us even though they're not getting paid by the prime. S&W Contractors finished all the street lighting, putting in the new meters and the new light for the entrance sign, and Kenny Nolan with Nolan Stoneworks, they completed their project even though they know there will be months out before they get paid by the contractor.
And can you update us as to what's left to be done?
It's just some sidewalk entrances on each end and in the middle where the greenway crosses, paving the project, and some work on the sides just to finish out the grass and siding on that. So there's not a whole lot, and like I said, and then milling and some signage on it. But that's pretty much it. We were about 2 weeks out from completion when they defaulted.
And moving forward, any idea on timeline of getting somebody else yet, or we just don't? Do we have to go through the legal process first before we can even move forward?
Yes. I will tell you, though, that the good news in this bad news story is we will be able to move traffic out of the park on the 4th of July.
That was my next question.
We will have that piece open. It'll be over a gravel base, but we will have traffic able to come out of the park. Then we'll close it back down. We don't want to do damage to that road until we get this resolved, but this is an unfortunate situation. But I will tell you, Charles and engineering, and we've all been working hard on this thing. It's just a very unfortunate circumstance. It's not normal, and especially in these times, there's a lot of work out there to have a contractor go into default. It's just
With 2 weeks to go, that's just
2 weeks worth of work.
That's unusual.
And the surety may hire someone to do it. They have the option to do that first.
And one thing we need to let citizens know is we will be allowing it under supervision to exit the park after 4th of July, but other than that, we do not want people driving on
No, we will
this
close the
property.
road back down at that time to protect our base. But just like Mike, Jimmy, and all the park staff, they've gone out and been doing cleanup because we're doing that under a safety. And then, like I said, that'll be something that we will send back to the surety for reimbursement for all the work and our streets department work to get it safe and cleaned up in the area and put away.
Questions for Charles on this? I hate that it's happened, but I think you all are doing the best you
Is
can
this
do.
the only
to-
current contract we have with that vendor?
That's correct, yes.
Yes, they're all.
They have contracts in Rutherford County with some other communities, but that was the only one they have with us.
Yeah, they're all, like I said, it's unfortunate, they are large,
Yeah.
they have contractor in 6 different states. Were a large contractor, so it's,
If I remember right, we had done work with them before, hadn't we?
I think we may have had something, this is the first road project they had done for us, but they had done some other sub work for us. Lowry Street, we've gotten all the streetlight foundations and all the underground utilities put in. The Prime has restarted work, the clock started back on them, so they have started cutting curb, and once we get through the TDOT closure through the holidays where we can't have any lane closures, they'll be back in on July the 5th and make the lane swap where we'll pull the lanes in, and then that will give them room where they can start digging out on the sides for the curbs and new sidewalks. So we'll wait after the 4th of July closure time for TDOT. Jeannie Lane and Spring Hill, those 2 projects bid today. Sessions Paving was the apparent low bidder for Spring Hill, and Cleary Construction was the apparent low bidder for Jeannie Lane. And our consultant will be checking the bid tabs to make sure everything is in order before we bring it for you for award.
Anything else for Charles? Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Carl? Mike Moss?
Just to let you know, we have a Southern Regional Soccer Tournament in town this weekend, so they'll be starting at the soccer park at 8 a.m. in the morning and going throughout the weekend. So if you see a lot of traffic over there, it's a pretty big deal. So appreciate the maintenance department and BGM getting everything cleaned up around the new building, and then our staff getting the fields in shape, so that should be a good weekend.
Great.
That's it.
Yeah, we also have an 18-team tournament at
Yeah,
Volunteer
sure.
Park this weekend.
18 teams?
18 teams.
So,
That's Saturday only.
right, yes, one day. We like that, and they do too, I think. They get done that night and recover on Sunday, don't they?
Yeah.
Mike, where'd you say yours was?
It's at the soccer park.
Okay.
Yeah, Southern Regional, I think I heard is 125 teams, but they kind of got it scheduled out to where it's not all at one time.
I didn't hear soccer on it, okay, but.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, thank you.
Mike? Tom? Jeff? Kevin? Todd? Chief? Henry? Amber?
No, ma'am.
Brian?
Mayor and Council, I have a couple of things I'd like to share with you tonight. A couple of personal things involving some of our staff, and Mark, I appreciate you including the Russell family. We did lose an employee this week. It's been quite devastating to our Parks and Rec as well as the rest of the town. Andy Russell passed away this week. Young 42-year-old gentleman worked for us and was a solid employee and will be very well missed. Also in our utility department, last week Deborah Walker's mother passed away, and we want to extend our condolences to both of these families. Very quickly, just to update, we haven't talked about this in a while, but two young men that relatives of the families, Stacy Harrell's son Braxton, he's going back to Vanderbilt for some tests to do some looking on his situation, and then also Rex and I had a conversation the other morning in the hallway as we walked through the hallway in the mornings. His grandson has gotten some pretty good news, and we're very excited about that. But I think, we all need to continue to keep both those young men in our prayers as they deal with their health issues. I did receive from Deborah Walker a real nice note. The council and the town, we provided a embroidered blanket in memory of her mother to her, and she was very appreciative of that, and it meant the world to her, so just wanted y'all to know about that. And then Randall Jones, who worked for us in utilities, that passed away, it's been a couple of months ago now. His family had a celebration of life at the Jefferson boat ramp. Randall was a pretty big fisherman, and I'm sorry. Yeah, Jackie Reed, I'm sorry. I'm reading her name. Jackie Reed, and anyway, the daughter sent us a really nice note and appreciated Mike coming out and several other employees from that department, Jackie Reed, and then myself attended that celebration of life, and they was very appreciative of that. I know we're going to talk about some things that have activities recently, but I have to share one thing from Smyrna Boat Day, and I know several of you made a visit out there. There was a young lady of 74 years old that showed up at Boat Day, I think with her son, and it was a bucket list for her to get in a kayak. And I want you to know that lady succeeded in getting in the kayak, and she didn't get very far out. We kept her pretty close, but she was so excited. It was so much fun to be there and witness that bucket list moment for this lady. I will tell you, your town manager did not get in a kayak, did not get in a canoe, and did not get in the lake.
But I heard you held her little dog while she got in the kayak.
Well, there was an episode where the dog didn't make it into the kayak completely, and so I did a little dog sitting to keep the dog. But she was a very special young woman, and it was really fun to be there with her, and she made Boat Day for some of us. She was a lot of fun.
I just have a picture of that. That sounds cute.
I'm sure
Of
there
him
are some
holding the
pictures.
dog or her in the kayak?
Him holding that dog.
Yeah.
Was it a
It
chihuahua?
was precious.
It was,
It's
yeah.
precious.
Sometimes it's just a no-win situation. I did receive also from a customer on Bel Air Drive. This note came in to Chaz and Lee, the homeowner at 405 Bel Air Drive. Just want to say thank you. She was so impressed with our employees out there working on a drainage situation in her yard, and just wanted us to know how much she appreciated. And most of all, she wanted us to know how hard those guys were working out there. come, so make sure they know that we recognize that. Next thing I have, I think we've got something on the screen coming up. Independence Day is coming up, and I just want to remind everybody the town of Smyrna offices will be closed on Monday, July the 4th, in observance of Independence Day. But also like to always recognize that our wastewater treatment plant, our water plant, our parks department, our golf course, police, fire, dispatch, those folks unfortunately do not get to take those days off. They're here providing services to our community, and I will tell you, they are happy to be here from the standpoint of they really enjoy providing quality of life services. I'm sure they'd each like to have a holiday off from time to time, but they do realize it's part of the job, and I appreciate those folks very much. The last thing I've got, and you guys can probably guess what this is, love where you live, folks. We still continue to battle, litter in our community. Just takes a little extra time to make a conscious decision not to throw things out the window or out of the back of your truck. Take that litter to the nearest receptacle, whether it's at a service station or your home or those places that receive the garbage. Don't put it on our streets. Take a little pride in our community. So please love where you live and do better. Thank you.
Thanks. Jeffrey L.?
Yes, Mayor, I did find the section related to the sales of food on town property. The zoning ordinance states that any temporary outdoor sales of food or retail merchandise located on property owned or leased by the town of Smyrna are exempt from those requirements.
Okay.
So it wouldn't just have to be a town function, just to be on town property. And obviously, we would dictate whether something was allowed there or not.
We need to make sure Jeffrey L. is recognized for having a big birthday this week.
Yep. He's the birthday boy, too.
Over half century.
Anything else?
That is all.
Good. Raquel?
Just my condolences to the Russell and the Walker families. I also had an opportunity to attend Boat Day. That was a fun day. My daughter actually, Nora and I actually did get in a canoe. And so it was a fun event. It was the first time actually at Boat Day that I'd actually gotten out in the water, and I didn't get wet, so it was a good day. And then on Sunday, there was an event for Juneteenth, and I'd like to thank all of the town people that were involved in that, because Chief Bill provided a tent. Chief Arnold came out in support. Thank you, Mr. Moss, for your assistance. Thank you, Brian, Mr. Hercules, for coming out and supporting this event. So it was a good day. The weather was good, and I think everyone enjoyed being out there. So, and that's all I have. Tim?
Yeah, I'll add my condolences to the Russell family and move to a positive note. After 35 years, our son Brandon's going to get married. He's met a nice lady. I was going to say girl, show my age. She's an Alabama fan, so I know I got to work on that. But
At least it's not Tennessee.
Mike, you'd never allow that in your house.
Crimson's better than orange. I have a feeling when they're up in the fall, it's going to be quite spirited at our house. But we are looking forward to that. They're getting married over 4th of July weekend. So we'll be traveling to that, and probably congratulations to me, because
To Donna, really.
Donna did not put me on the surplus item list. We celebrated our 31st anniversary, and my key still works, so thank you, Donna.
And how was your anniversary?
It was incredible.
Great. Congratulations to Donna.
Thank you.
Jerry?
Yes, my condolences also to the Russell and Walker family, and certainly will be in prayer for the Harrell family. And Rex, that is wonderful news. Good to hear that. A lot of prayers have been there too as well. And there. Also, I want to say my condolences to the Michael Beard family, a friend of mine's family member, I guess it would be his nephew, passed away, so my condolences to that family. Mike, I just want to say to you, thank you. There was some issues that happened out on Old Jefferson Pike here recently on a Sunday afternoon. Your your guys came out and took care of that, and she was very much appreciative, and so thank you for doing that. I also enjoyed being able to go to the Juneteenth celebration over there. Raquel, you did a fantastic job. I know you did a lot of the work on that, so you did. I know you put a lot of work into that, so it was really had a good time. Got to see a lot of people that don't get to see very often. And then boat day, enjoyed that afternoon or that morning. Got to see Brian hold the dog as well, so he almost got away from me, I think, one time. But,
It was nip and tuck there for a moment.
and look forward to seeing everybody out on the 4th of July. And then I've got my grandson has a birthday on the 1st of July. He will be 3, so we'll be doing whatever he wants.
You tell him the entire town of Smyrna will be celebrating him.
That's right.
On his birthday.
That's right.
My turn.
Steve.
Also offer my condolences to the Russell family. It's tough to lose anybody, especially early like that, so be praying for their family. I don't think I have much else. I think that's it. Celebrate 4th of July in a couple of weeks. Do it safely, do it carefully, but celebrate our independence.
Marky Mark?
Same condolences as I mentioned in the opening prayer, and to the families that have suffered losses. Rex, I'm excited to hear about Drew's prognosis, and also hearing from Chief about Braxton. I know those have been prayers been going on for a long time for those young men, and we hope they continue to heal. It sounds positive at the best. So we had a little announcement this week about Google. I guess everybody's seen that on the news and everything else. We all of us got to, I think most of us were here able to attend that, and excited about that. Excited what Google's going to bring to the community in Smyrna here, and services that also offer some competition. So wonderful news about that. Thank you to everybody in my family, because I'm a father and I got celebrated on Father's Day. I was actually on vacation, so I missed a lot of the events here with Boat Day and Juneteenth and some of the things that took place. But it's always nice to have your children and your family and your loved ones come up to you and celebrate you as their dad. So I just want to thank my family for that. We've all talked about July 1st and the event that's going to take place out at the park. And Charles, I'm glad to hear that roadway will be usable for that event, at least. We'll learn a little bit more about traffic relief coming in and out of there. It's always kind of hectic with just the one entrance and exit there. I do want to remind everybody, one year we had a child that was lost, or we had parents that were lost from a child, and it locked down that park for probably close to an hour, as I recall, Chief, wasn't it? It was a pretty good long time trying to locate that child. And so when the lights go down and the fireworks begin, it'd be probably a good idea to know where your children are right then, because they like to play and they like to run a little bit. And that way, when the lights come back on, everybody can head to their vehicles and get out of there in a safe way. I'm just going to ask Peach, I'm going to put him on the spot. I know he'll know the answer to this, or I wouldn't do it, Jeff. Can you remind everybody of the firework ordinance in the town of Smyrna? Because this kind of always gets a timeline confusion. I don't know if you've got it or if Brian's got it, so that we can make an announcement as to what the times are for shooting off fireworks. Many times people call the police, and then Chief's got his staff out all night chasing down people blowing fireworks. Anybody have that ordinance in front of them?
I'm pulling it up. Hang on just a minute.
Are there beads of sweat on my forehead?
You notice I kept talking because I saw both of you digging, right?
Yes.
So,
Till 10.
yes, currently the fireworks may only be discharged in the town of Smyrna during the following hours: July the 3rd from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., July the 4th from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., and July the 5th from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 3 days, basically from 9 a.m. to 10 or 11 p.m. That is,
And that's not 1 a.m.
no,
or
right.
midnight.
It's
So
not
I just
12
kind of want to
o'clock,
help
it's not 2 in
the
the
public
morning, it's not-
understand that, there's people probably trying to get their rest.
We'll get that out on
We'll get that
social
posted
media.
on social media.
Do we know, I know we used to do this, and I haven't stopped at any of the tents, because I normally don't, but is that posted at the firework tents?
It is.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, Steve
Steve,
Smith?
Yes, that's one of the things that we go over with them in our pre-construction, or our pre-fireworks meeting with them, is, among other things, that's one of the documents they're supposed to post,
Okay,
so the customers can see that.
okay.
Yeah.
I know that's helpful. We've asked you to do that in years past.
Yes.
So. Other than that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Great. A couple of housekeeping items. Our Smyrna Depot Farmers Market is open each Saturday from 8 a.m. till noon. It's a partnership between Carpe Artista, Smyrna Parks and Recreation, and Pick Tennessee Products. If you have not been down there, I highly encourage you to, because there's lots happening on Saturday morning. We've talked a lot about it, but the town of Smyrna is pleased to host our Independence Day celebration, which will be July the 1st. The celebration begins at 5 o'clock. There'll be food trucks, there'll be bounce houses, there'll be booths set up, there'll be live music, and fireworks will start at dark if all parents are with their children and vice versa, and there's no one hurt. And Chief has promised that it is going to be the best fireworks show yet. Right, Chief? There you go. Boat Day 2022, lots of people went out and took part in Boat Day, and Britt and I went out, and there looked like it was Raquel and Nora in the canoe. And, the cool thing about Boat Day is it's not just stuff on the water that you can go out and do. They had activities for the kids to learn about water safety and to learn about the environment. So lots of activities for all ages, from the youngest to the young at heart. There you go. So thanks to all staff, and let me tell you, there was a ton of staff that was out there working Boat Day, and there's no way we could do the event without all of them there, and even people within the community that were out there volunteering, so we appreciate that. Mark brought up Google Fiber. We did sign an agreement with Google Fiber. We are the only community other than Nashville that Google Fiber is currently working with in the state of Tennessee. This is huge for the town of Smyrna to be able to provide another option for good quality internet service. It'll also help us with business and industry. So we signed that agreement on Tuesday, one day this week. So thanks to Google, and we look forward to the ongoing relationship. A couple of things personal. This weekend is the big NASCAR race weekend. I think Friday night is the truck race. You guys help me. Saturday, I know, is qualifying and Xfinity race on Saturday, and Sunday is the big 400 NASCAR race. So we will welcome those race fans. Just to give you guys an idea of things people don't think about, how many people did you say were coming into the airport?
We had 300 rental cars moved to the airport to supply for the teams and stuff coming in, so a little over 300 vehicles.
And probably a lot of those people are staying in our hotels, they're eating at our restaurants. Hopefully they are filling up with gas and shopping at the stores. So those are the type of guests we like. They come in, they stay for a little while, and then they go back home. So we are glad to have them, and we encourage you to go out and enjoy the events there. And even if you don't go in to see the race, there's all sorts of things that are taking place outside as well. So also want to thank those that came out. We had a celebration of life for my dad's oldest brother, Billy, that lived in Seattle. So we had family here all week. He passed away a couple of months ago, and I just want to say thank you to all of those that either came out or sent notes or calls. Let's see, is there anything else?
Mayor, could I add one thing?
Sure.
Because I'd forgot, and I had it written down to mention, but the Upchurch family, and Mr. Upchurch had served the town of Smyrna as a chaplain for many years. I had the pleasure of going out on Saturday afternoon after Boat Day and putting the dog away to present them a certificate from the town for 70 years of marriage, and it was quite a special time. great people, really a nice event, and they were very appreciative that the town took time to come out and recognize such a milestone.
Well, and I appreciate you doing that. I wanted to be able to be there, but that was actually the day we did the celebration of life, so I appreciate you going out and taking care of that for Chaplain Up Church. Also, thanks to those that have called or texted during my little bit of recovery that I was not here, and Mark for picking up the slack at the last meeting. I appreciate that. So, council, anything else? If nothing else, we are adjourned.